Okay, well, let's kick off this morning with a slide data released over the European session. What's caught your attention here?
A thin day as far as outright European data was concerned. We did have some data from the Far East, which I think is pertinent and worth looking at. So first of all, we had PPI for China in July, year-on-year read here, down 5.4%. Against the forecast of -5%, so
slightly worse than.
Well, yeah, and deflation would appear to be alive and well, at least on this measure in China. What's also interesting to note is that the change in the PPI in China on this basis has been negative since the early part of 2012. So it's nothing new, but it's just a continuing trend, and it appears to be well embedded, and it's going to be very difficult to shift. If we look at another measure of prices in China, we also had CPI, the Consumer Price Index data, this also for July, and again we look at the year-on-year measure here, came in at plus 1.6%, so that surprisingly was slightly better than a forecast of plus 1.5% and the prior read of plus 1.4%. Nevertheless, if you plot a chart of this over the sort of medium to longer term, you can see that this as well has been trending lower since 2008. So whilst we're slightly better than we were, we've still got a long way to go before we're sort of seeing prices rising in the Chinese economy by any great dramatic amount. And then staying in Asia, moving over to Japan, we had the consumer confidence index for July came in at 40.3, sharply below the forecast of 42.2, and the prior read of 41.7. Now remember, of course, that Shinzo Abe is trying to stimulate not only the export economy through weakening the yen, but also the domestic economy. And a falling consumer confidence, doesn't bode very well, I don't think, for that particular exercise. And then we come into Europe. We had the Eurozone Centex Consumer Confidence Index. This is an index that's compiled really trying to gauge social media sentiment, I believe I'm right in saying. So it's sort of a new age consumer confidence index, if you will. Anyway, the read for August in this data point comes in at 18.4, again sharply below the forecast of 20.2 and below the prior read for July of 18.5. This is effectively, or European consumer confidence by this measure anyway, has effectively been moving sideways since March of this year. So again, the ECB would have been looking for some signs of green shoots of recovery, shall we say, and again, consumer confidence is important to the ECB because they're trying also to stimulate not only the export market but the domestic markets
as well. Understood.